John Donne was a metaphysical poet. Metaphysical poetry is highly intellectualized. He includes far-out comparisons and strange imagery, and paradox. Consequently, it can sometimes be mind-bendingly complex. The Flea is an example of metaphysical poetry. You will notice that a Valediction Forbidding Mourning has some of these characteristics. We'll go through this poem stanza by stanza. The first stanza. As virtuous men pass mildly away and whisper to their souls to go, while some of their sad friends do say the breath goes now, and some say no. The first word of the first stanza is as. This tells us that a comparison is coming. You know how virtuous men die quietly? So quietly that their friends cannot even mark the moment of death? I guess this is because they aren't afraid. They know where they are going. Men of vice, not so much. We need a sidebar here to get at what Donne is doing through this whole poem. The speaker and his lover are not like other people. Their love is higher. As he is ready to board a ship on a journey, he forbids any expression of sadness because it's beneath them. Donne borrows structures and hierarchies of the medieval worldview as his speaker compares their love with that of others. As virtuous men whisper for their soul to go, virtue goes up here with the soul. The first line of the next stanza help us understand the simile that he started in the first. So let us melt and make no noise. In other words, let's you and I part from each other in the same way that a virtuous man parts from his soul. We hardly notice it at all. So let us melt and make no noise, no tear floods nor sigh tempests move. 'Twere profanation of our joys to tell the laity our love. The tears and the sighs that we usually see as lovers part are linked with the very disruptive terrestrial events of floods and tempests. He says it would degrade our joy for us to be externally demonstrative enough for the regular folk to notice it. Back to the sidebar. More hierarchies here. The melting of no noise suggests a goldsmith's melting of a precious metal. If it's pure, it doesn't spurt or sputter. Gold is the highest in the medieval hierarchy of metal, so gold goes up here. The laity means ordinary people as opposed to the clergy. The terrestrial events go down here and they find their pairing in the next stanza. Moving of the earth brings harms and fears. Men reckon what it did and meant, but trepidation of the spheres, though greater far, is innocent. The moving of the earth is obviously an earthquake. Add that to the disruptive terrestrial events that the parting of regular people resembles. We are oblivious to the quakes on the huge planets, the spheres, even though they are hundreds or thousands of times bigger than those on the lowly Earth. In the medieval mind, the Earth is the lowest of the planets, and the spheres are far greater. Dull sublunary lover's love, whose soul is sense, cannot admit absence, because it doth remove those things which elemented it. Sublunary means under the moon. That's where ordinary lovers live. And they are boring. Their soul is sense, physical. Such lovers can't handle the absence of a lover because their love is on the sensory level. Absence of the physical person does not make the heart grow fonder because the love flows out of the physical presence of the other. But not us. But we by a love so much refined that ourselves know not what it is, inter assured of the mind, care less eyes, lips, and hands to miss. Our love doesn't need eyes, lips, and hands to thrive. We won't even miss them. We are above all that. Refined? That's a metallurgical term. It refers to the pure gold that we've met before. And in the medieval hierarchy, the mind would have been the master of the body and emotions. The mind goes up here. Our souls, therefore, which are one, though I must go, endure not yet a breach, but an expansion, like gold to airy thinness beat. Here's the soul again, and the gold, and another comparison. Gold can be pounded very thin. 1 troy ounce can be hammered to cover just less than 100 square feet. We are like pure gold, says the speaker, and when we separate, our connection is not broken. It just covers more space. And then we get to what is called a metaphysical conceit. It's a far-out comparison. He compares their love to a compass. Not one of these, but one of these. If they be two, they are two so as stiff twin compasses are two. Thy soul the fixed foot, which makes no show to move, but doth if the other do. If our souls are two, they are like the legs of a compass. Hers is the one with the sharp point that stays in one place. and though it in the center sit, yet when the other far doth roam, it leans and hearkens after it, and grows erect as that comes home. I love this bit. The fixed foot leans and hearkens after the other foot as it far doth roam, and gets taller when the feet are again joined. Such wilt thou be to me, who must like the other foot obliquely run. Thy firmness make my circle just, and makes me end where I begun. He says that although he must travel, her stability back home makes his circle just. It makes it perfect. The perfect circle can be formed if the other foot stays firmly put. And it also guides the roaming foot back to where it belongs again. And you probably know that the circle is the highest shape in the medieval hierarchy of shapes. It's quite a beautiful poem, despite its complex comparisons. Some of my students claim this to be their favorite of the whole year. So that's why we don't make a scene at the airport like other people do. Our connection to each other is of a higher kind, a more spiritual kind, and ought not to be expressed as the lesser loves with all their tears and desperate hugs and goings-on. In my next video, we will look at Holy Sonnets 10 and 14 by John Donne. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.